Pulp crazy.
I thought it would be a good idea to do an episode kind of giving you the lay of the land and some updates on the Conan live action series that's in development at Netflix. First, I'll just give a little bit of a background on Conan movies and TV series that we've had in the past. 1982's Conan the Barbarian, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, directed by John Milius, written by Milius and Oliver Stone, is easily the most well-known project. It was a breakout role for Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's become a pop culture phenomenon. It's an enjoyable movie, but really doesn't have too much to do with Robert E. Howard's original vision. 1984's Conan the Destroyer brought back Arnold, but no Milius and no Oliver Stone. It's kind of a generic sword and sorcery movie and isn't very highly regarded. 1992 saw the release of the cartoon series Conan the Adventurer. The first season was 13 episodes and the second season was 52 episodes. I remember watching this during the mornings while getting ready for school and just about to catch the bus. Again, not a whole lot to do with Robert E. Howard's original vision, but it was an enjoyable enough animated series for its target audience. In 1997, we had another Conan the Adventurer series, this time a live-action series starring Rolf Muller that ran for 22 episodes. I have to admit, I was never aware of this in my life until I discovered it on Wikipedia. Never really heard anyone speak highly about it. Don't think it was very well received. 2011 saw a new Conan film starring Jason Momoa, directed by Marcus Nispel, Conan the Barbarian. This had all the makings of a great Conan movie. Had an amazing lead, a director who had a pretty good reputation, a solid cast, but unfortunately it had a dog shit script that turned it into a generic sword and sorcery movie that made it more like a Conan knockoff like Deathstalker. Between this film being both a commercial and critical failure and the post-Timothy Truman written Conan comic books being such a disappointment overall, both the Conan property and character have seen better days. However, that hasn't stopped new Conan projects going into development. The Conan Exiles video game seems to be fairly successful. It's an open world survival video game. There was also a Conan strategy video game release called Conan Unconquered. Please don't get me started on Conan's return to Marvel Comics. The best thing about it was Savage Avengers. There were one or two decent one-shot issues and maybe a story arc here and there that was decent in some of the Conan titles, but overall that was horrible. Just horrible. Especially the Age of Conan, Valeria, and Belit miniseries. That really drove the final nail in the coffin to the Age of Conan brand. The most promising Conan project, though, was the Amazon live-action series that was announced to be in development in February of 2018, with Ryan Condal and Miguel Sapochnik involved. I heard nothing but good things about this series when it was in development. Some people even called the pilot script the best pilot script that they've ever seen. Unfortunately for all of us Robert E. Howard and Conan fans, there was a regime change at Amazon Studios, and in October 2018 it was announced that the series had not been picked up. Ryan Condal and Miguel Sapochnik went on to develop the hit Game of Thrones House of the Dragon series that's currently airing to critical acclaim on HBO Max. However, a Netflix deal was announced on September 30th, 2020, but so far it's been pretty radio silence as of late. There's rumors that supposedly Frederick Malberg said that we might hear something by the end of the year though. I haven't been able to find any direct quote or tweet where Malberg says we should hear something by the end of the year, but that's just kind of the speculation and rumors that are out there right now. Now, this is me just putting on kind of my speculative hat. If this deal was announced back in September of 2020, it's now September 2022. So that's 2 years that have gone by. If this was a 2-year deal, it's either up already or getting very close to being up. And maybe the rumor about hearing something by the end of the year is the few months grace period that Netflix has to decide whether or not they want to renew the deal or not renew the deal. But again, that's just pure speculation on my part, trying to read the tea leaves, so to speak. You might have noticed on the title card that I put my pick for who should play Conan in a new live action series or film. That's Drew McIntyre, also known as his real name, Drew Galloway. He's a professional wrestler, currently signed to World Wrestling Entertainment, otherwise known as WWE. Back in the day, it was WWF. He's about 6'5", has a great build, and is extremely athletic. He goes by the Scottish Warrior, and his ancestors are most likely from Hyborian Age, Samaria. I say cast him and see if WWE Pictures will help pick up the tab for the series or film. Another option would be an animated series, and if they go that route, they should definitely go overseas to Japan and have it done by an anime studio. I would suggest the same people that made Bastard, heavy metal dark fantasy series that's on Netflix. I'm sure it's a burr in the ass of Conan properties to see Ryan Condal and Miguel Sapochnik, the very same team that they had on tap for their Amazon series, to being so successful with Game of Thrones Hour of the Dragon. As a Conan fan, it's a real burr in my ass as well. But I think we all just need to be patient and see what happens next. House of the Dragon and Rings of Power seemingly are pretty successful here their first few weeks out. Now, those are epic fantasy series with a higher budget. Conan is sword and sorcery and low fantasy. To create a quality Conan series, you do not need those kind of epic budgets that Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones have. Due to the creatures and monsters Conan encounters, you do need a budget that's sizable, but it doesn't have to be record-breaking by any means. I'm just hoping with the success of The Witcher, House of the Dragon, and Rings of Power, we'll be getting news of a Conan project very soon. And not that one's in development, I want at least pre-production. After all, there's currently a Red Sonja movie in production right now, helmed by Solomon Kane director MJ Bassett, that looks to have quite a bit of potential. So until the end of the year, keep positive thoughts, but don't pray to Crom. You're better off if he isn't aware of your existence. Pulp Crazy is located at pulpcrazy.com. I'm facebook.com/pulpcrazy, and I'm at pulpcrazy on Twitter and Instagram.